Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our men's advanced Bible study, the 19th of June, 2026. Okay, my topic for this I'll be dealing with the 2 million heads of beef that just vanished. We're gonna deal with that and the ramifications of it. Okay. Introduction. We're gonna go to YouTube. We're gonna go to YouTube to Prophets of Awakening. You can check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine, get the meat out. These videos will lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to help you move along. And for those that want to support this channel and help it move along, we have our cash app at the bottom of the screen. But that too will be greatly appreciated. Okay. For those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel where we deal with the Tanakh and the Torah only. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior and our Redeemer. We don't subscribe to the New Testament, to the apostles, to Peter and Paul, none of that. Okay, because it's just a Gentile persuasion. It was engineered and concocted by the Gentiles after we was scattered from our land. Okay. So with that being said, this channel was created to aid and assist our Hebrews who are waking up in these last days to their true identity and understanding who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our men's advanced Bible study. Okay, we're gonna do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer. We have Psalms. Then we have some current events, some need to know information. Then we open it up for any questions, or any comments, or any dialogue, or testimonies. And then my topic for discussion, like I said, is the 2 million heads of beef capacity that just vanished. Okay, we're gonna deal with that. My scripture reading is I'll be doing a couple of videos. One of them is about J.D. Vance and his warning that he gave the Israelis, so-called Israel, and then the other one is about the billionaire woman that's threatening Trump because of this last ceasefire that he made and how he excluded Netanyahu and Israel from it. Okay, and then we'll pick a scripture like we normally do. We'll read that scripture, break it down, we'll talk about it, and we'll close out. Okay, this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as thy servants David and Solomon and Samuel and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and to keep your commandments and your testimony and your statutes with all our heart and our soul, to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea, hear and do, O Lord, and hide not thy face from us, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. So with that being said, we got a psalm we're gonna read.
Right, shalom. Brother Leonard, I'm gonna read Psalms 21, Psalm of David, and it says, "The king shall joy in thy strength, O Lord, in thy salvation. How greatly shall he rejoice! Thou hast given him his heart's desire, and thou hast not withholden the request of his lips. Selah. For thou preventest him with the blessings of goodness. Thou settest a crown of pure gold on his head. He asked life of thee, and thou gavest it him, even length of days forever and ever. Glory is great in thy salvation. Honor and majesty hast thou laid upon him, for thou hast made him most blessed forever. Thou hast made him exceeding glad with thy countenance. For the king trust, trusted in the Lord, and through the mercy of the Most High he shall not be moved. Thine hand shall find out all thine enemies. Thy right hand shall find out those that hate thee. Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven in the time of thine anger. The Lord shall swallow them up in his wrath, and the fire shall devour them. Their fruit shall thou be destroyed from the earth, and their seed from among the children of men. For they intended evil against thee. They imagined a mischievous device. They were not able to perform. Therefore shalt thou make them turn their back, when thou shalt make ready arrows upon thy strings against the face of them. Be thou exalted, Lord, in thine own strength, so we will sing and praise thy power. And shalom. That was Psalms 21.
Okay, what you got out of that?
Shalom, brother Leonard, where it says in verse 6, where it says, "For thou hast made him the most blessed ever."
Okay.
And so David is talking about the Lord made him the most blessed ever, right?
Yes, exactly. He's the anointed one.
Right. Hmm.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna go to our current events. Okay.
For right now, we're only halfway through the month of June, and meteorologists are already saying that we could have a devastating summer this year. This is concerning because most people are not ready for what's coming. But look what we've just experienced over the past couple of days. Look at this. It says California is headed into an above average wildfire season. This is according to CAL FIRE. We also know high surf advisory is in effect in the flooding is threatening Hawaii shores, where we are actually seeing waves coming up over two-story condos. It's concerning. And then we see this. It says level 4 to 5 severe storm threat places millions across the Midwest in path of violent tornadoes and flash flooding. There were parts of Texas that were completely underwater. Look at this. It says El Paso under heat advisory as temperature could reach 106 degrees. And then we got this. It says Tropical Storm Arthur makes landfall in Texas to raise flood risks across the southern U.S. This is just what's happening on the West Coast and towards the Midwest. We're not even talking about the East Coast yet, because again, this is what meteorologists have been warning us of, that because of our El Nino, or what they're calling a potential super El Nino, this could bring some devastating temperatures and devastating conditions to the U.S. alone. I want to play you a couple clips. Look at this one.
My wife almost divorced me because I couldn't get hard anymore.
Oh my God.
When you have a wave coming up and over the top of a two-story condo, that's concerning. That's a massive wave. Okay, that is not a tsunami. That's not a tsunami, but that is a massive wave. And this is what we can expect more of this coming summer. But look what's happening in Texas. Look at this right here.
More than half a foot of rain brought dangerous flash flooding to multiple states today, turning roadways into canals throughout Louisiana. Residents in DeRidde are wading through waist-high water to seek
Damn.
higher ground. And in Mississippi, while some were able to drive through floodwaters, others had to be towed. Lightning and blinding sheets of rain soaked South Padre Island in Texas overnight, and water continued to pour into neighborhoods throughout the state today.
So we want Houstonians to remain resilient and be prepared and listen to messaging that may be coming from the mayor or from the Office of Emergency Management.
In this Houston neighborhood, after hours of rain, the water is basically using this driveway as a stream bed.
That was definitely a lot of rain. Yeah, in a small period of time.
Justin,
This is what's concerning. Most people are not prepared. Now, in a moment, I'm going to tell you how you can prepare for something like a flash flood, how you can also prepare for something like a wildfire that's sweeping through your neighborhood. I'm going to show you two things that you can do. Okay, so we'll get to that in a moment. But this is the problem. Most people are not listening to the threats, listening to the risks, listening to the concerns that officials have. And I've been saying this for the past couple of months, that the rising chance of a super El Nino is going to wreak havoc on the United States this year. And I'm not even getting into what this is going to do to farmers, what this is going to do to our food supply or this upcoming winter. Okay? We're not even there yet. But
Right, that's what the brother was just talking about the other day.
Right, yes, sir.
And this just one. He says a trifecta. This just one of them.
we need to be concerned about what's happening this summer because of extreme heat, because of flash flooding, and, well, wildfires. Look at this one.
Fast-moving brush fire exploding in size to at least 1,500 acres in Riverside County. Air 7 capturing the fierce flames of what's being called the Shore Fire. It's just southwest of Cali Mesa. Right now, the fire is at 0% containment. Evacuation orders have been issued for several areas near San Mateo and Redlands. Nearby areas have also gotten evacuation warnings. An evacuation center has been set up at San Jacinto High School. Westbound lanes of the 60 freeway at the 10 freeway are shut down as fire crews continue to fight this fire. Breaking.
This is going to be a constant threat this summer. We're going to see flash flooding risk. We're going to see tornadoes. We're going to see extreme heat. We're also going to see wildfires that are popping up everywhere across, especially the West Coast and the Midwest, but could be all over the country. This is what meteorologists have been warning us of for the past several months. So I just want you to prepare. But I want to show you something else as well. Look at this right here. It says extreme weather and global instability and safety increasingly influencing summer vacation. People are canceling their trips because of the weather that we're already predicted to get. Some people are not even going to go into California. They're going to stay out of California because of the weather that they're already expecting. Some people will not go to the East Coast, and many are not going to go to the South because they're concerned about a tropical storm or a potential hurricane that we could see this coming summer. So we're going to see a lot of changes. Now, here's the one thing that I was promising you. How do we prepare for something like this? Because this is the big question. Is, okay, great. So you tell us that there's a threat. You tell us that we need to be concerned. You tell us that we should prepare, but how do we prepare for this? This right here is what you can do and should do if there's a possible flash flood emergency. Look at this right here.
The most important part is the pre-planning and getting away from the rising floodwaters as early as possible.
Plan for where the high point is if you have to go to it. Key thing is to get out and not be concerned with your possessions.
If you're in a house or a building when the floods start, you want to get to the highest story possible without getting trapped in an attic. Wearing bright clothes if you have the opportunity. You want to.
Yeah. Simple tips. Wear bright clothes. Don't wear black. Don't wear camo. Wear a lime green shirt. Wear something that's white. Wear something that people will notice you. Bright orange, bright yellow, bright red, bright pink, something bright that people will notice you if for some reason you were to get swept out of your home, right? Just, again, simple tips. But the other one is to get to high ground and get there as soon as possible. And now if high ground for you and your home is just second floor of your house, do that. Get there, right? And do that early. Sleep upstairs. Don't go sleeping in the basement or the first floor. Sleep upstairs if at all possible. Here's the next one. How to deal with, well, getting through wildfires.
Okay.
I didn't believe these trades either. 80%, 100. So if you had 30 minutes to evacuate your home, would you know what to grab? Firefighters say it's a good idea to put a plan together. They say first and foremost, you should have a wildfire evacuation bag in your car, filled with all the stuff you might need if your home's evacuated and you can't get back to it. Toiletries like toothbrush, toothpaste, a change of clothes, maybe some snacks. But they say you should also have a list put together of the things you would grab around your house if you had 30 minutes or an hour to grab those things. Important documentation, medication, photographs, pet food, and you should put a plan together with your neighbors so that
but you get the idea, okay? You can go and you can take photographs of all your important documents. You can put them on the cloud. You can keep them on your phone, your computer, whatever. But at the end of the day, you need to be prepared. This is the biggest one. I've been saying this for a while, is just be prepared. But how do you prepare? That's the key. So.
Okay. Got any feedback on that?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. It just made me think about getting Hebrews to the East Coast.
Okay. Why you said the East Coast?
Because we're gonna be leaving from this side.
Right, exactly. You
Yes,
came
sir.
in from the side, right?
Right, sure.
Yeah, it make a lot of sense. And like I said, the guy said it's already been told. We already been warned. And the guy was saying there's got all this flooding coming. We're looking at it, it's already here. And then we got the thing going on with the iceberg, and we got what's going on with the AMOC in the Atlantic Ocean. And like I said, you think that we're dealing with this, and we ain't gonna deal with the other two? It's just gonna get more and more extreme when you understand where we at in prophecy, okay? And what these people got planned against us. Most I got to cut it off, okay? But anyway, let's keep going. Let me see what I got. Yeah, here we go.
African countries will pay zero tariffs when they export to China. The policy takes effect on May 1st and covers African.
So if you're paying attention, you can see right here where everything going. This place is over with. And this is the purpose of what Israel doing with the data centers and all that. They're trying to cut this off right here. That's why you see what you see going on with the Ebola over there in Africa. Like I was saying, they're trying to get all the African data, health data, because they're trying to cut this off. Check it out.
States with diplomatic relations to China. Some analysts say it's a chance for Africa to really plug into China's economy. But what does it mean? Well, Chinese firms won't have to pay tariffs when they import goods from Africa. So it'll be cheaper to bring.
So in case you ain't know, the 10 tribes is in Africa. Okay, not over in the Middle East. They're in Africa.
Those goods to China. That should boost demand, which means more business for African firms. Now, most of Africa's exports to China are natural resources, metals, minerals, and crops. Broadly speaking, those exports have helped the continent. Last year, African countries sold goods worth $123 billion to China. But economies do really well when they produce high-value finished products, like household appliances, cars, and laptops. African states don't export a lot of that, and that won't change overnight. But the zero tariff policy may pay off in another way. Foreign firms could make more products in Africa, then export to China without paying tariffs. So in a sense, Africa would become a gateway to China, a market of 1.4 billion consumers. We saw something similar with the United States, at least until the Trump tariffs arrived. Just over 25 years ago, the US introduced AGOA, the African Growth and Opportunity Act. AGOA scrapped many of the tariffs on African products coming into the US, and the impact was clear. For example, automakers like Toyota, BMW, Ford, and Mercedes all have factories in South Africa. AGOA allowed them to sell cars to America tariff-free. The bottom line, exports to the US generated $1.6 billion in 2024. But how did all of that help South Africa? Well, it meant millions of dollars in tax revenue and thousands of jobs. Local auto workers gained world-class skills, while the country got access to the best technology. And that helped its manufacturing industry, exposing it to the tech and workflows that drive growth. In theory, China's policy could have a similar impact on African countries. Again, it will take time, and it won't solve every problem, but it may be a move in the right direction. Because, as we've seen, a zero tariff policy isn't just about cheap products. It's also about the future and sparking the kind of change that Africa needs.
I'm Charles Yeomans, CEO of Adam B. The world's AI
just removed tariffs on African exports in a major blow to Western influence. This is great news for African businessmen, but it has put the West in a tight spot as they continue to lose their grip on the continent. I want to talk about why China made this move, how it contrasts to how the Western world has treated Africa, and what opportunities exist for African entrepreneurs. But first, the backstory. The West has used tariffs as a weapon to stifle value-added manufacturing. Take chocolate, for instance. African nations are generally allowed to export raw cocoa without any tariffs. But if they attempt to export chocolate bars, there are punitive taxes that prevent African chocolate manufacturing from being competitive. The West, in this way, has sent a clear message. Africa is a place to take raw resources from, not a place to do value-added activity. But China is sending a different message by removing these tariffs. They are telling the African nations that they want to do business at a time when the West, particularly the United States, is increasing tariffs to near punitive levels. So why does China want to be a friend to Africa? I believe they are
make brick without straw.
Are adopting a long-term geopolitical strategy. In the short term, open trade will benefit both sides economically, but the key to China's strategy is silently weakening Western hegemony. China knows that Western economies rely heavily on African resources. The less Africa relies on the West, the less access Western economies have to African resources, and the better China positions themselves as a world power. This is the kind of move that doesn't show up in GDP charts or on a stock ticker, but decades down the line changes geopolitical leverage. But this does not mean China will easily displace Western influence on the continent. China has only been a world power for a few decades, while the West has spent centuries cultivating relationships with the policymakers on the continent. The West as an aggregate is still larger economically than China, and the West has proven in the past to have mastered influencing African governments. So how does this benefit the regular businessman in Africa? By being
play that again. Okay.
For a few decades, while the West has spent centuries cultivating relationships with the policymakers on the continent. The West as an aggregate is still larger economically than China, and the West has proven in the past to have mastered influencing African governments. So how does this benefit the regular businessman in Africa? By being able to export value-added goods to China, it provides a reliable market to export to. Relying on the West has always been a dangerous gamble because factories can take a decade to develop, but can be wiped out with a surprise tariff. China, while being a smaller market, provides a safe environment for value-added manufacturers. African nations have the best access to natural resources in the world, the fastest growing college-educated populations, so we may see a rapid transformation of their economies, much like we saw with China in the 1990s. But I want to know what you think. Is China a reliable partner for the African nations, or will China eventually work against the African nations' interests in the future? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if this video provided value to you, give me a
Thanks for the question, Chairman. There's should be some handouts at your places there that you can refer to. There's a one on China there that depicts what I'll just kind of briefly talk to. They compete with us in Africa. First of all, China has made a decision, a deliberate decision to compete with America and Africa and win that competition. They compete primarily through economic means and diplomatic means. And you can see that there with their Belt and Road Initiative. They are investing everywhere across the continent. We don't actually have to meet that competition in every location head on. We have to pick and choose where we're going to do that. And there are countries where it's important that we do. In the military sphere, you heard in the chairman's opening remarks there that they have their one overseas base in Djibouti. The primary thing that concerns me with China's military competition in Africa is that they are actively seeking a military base on the Atlantic coast of Africa. And for a variety of reasons that I will go to in closed session, that would be bad for America's security. We, as a first priority, we need to deter the Chinese base in the Atlantic coast of Africa.
Okay. So when you hear that right there, what that do to you? What mean? You trigger anything?
China building a military base in Africa.
Yeah.
Well, to feel like they're gonna attack after that. Feel like you got a base to run operations from. So I guess
okay.
eventually, yes, sir. I can't. I mean, maybe that's not that. Maybe that's not it. But that's what it made me think of.
Yeah. Okay. I'm saying.
So they're gonna attack there.
What about what they're doing in Gaza?
Okay, China's with that too.
No. Oh. Israel and America. He just said that Israel saying that if at all possible, they got to divert and keep China from building a military base in Africa. In that place right here. The counter to that is they're building a military base in Gaza.
Okay. Yes, sir.
You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And it's in the same vicinity.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So China is expanding its zero tariff policy to all the 53 countries in Africa that they have a diplomatic relationship with, beginning 1st May 2026 all the way to April 30th, 2028. This zero tariff treatment will serve as a golden key to trade development in the continent and be a bridge that connects China and Africa. So what does this mean to you as an African? This, of course, creates an opportunity to boost industrial development in the continent and self-reliance as is. But also it means that high quality African products will get into the Chinese market, and it will also mean that Chinese enterprises invest more in Africa. An example that was given, for instance, was like cocoa from Cote
This is what they're trying to cut off.
d'Ivoire and Ghana, and avocados from Kenya, and citrus and wine from South Africa had tariffs from 8 to 30%, but they'll be moved to zero as long as certain conditions are met. The conditions here mean that as long as these products meet relevant rules of origin and inspection and also quarantine requirements, then they will be able to enjoy the zero tariff policy. Countries like South Africa and Kenya have welcomed this move. In fact, South African officials are saying that this will boost the volume of South African products into the Chinese
electricity generation.
Are you looking to establish your business using
had long struggled with energy shortages. The results were highly visible. Across the continent, major construction projects became symbols of a changing economic relationship. Supporters argued that these investments were helping to lay the foundation for future industrial growth and regional integration. Critics raised concerns about debt levels and long-term dependency. But even many skeptics acknowledged the scale of the transformation taking place. As infrastructure expanded, trade volumes between Africa and China grew dramatically. China became one of Africa's largest trading partners, importing minerals, oil, agricultural products, and other commodities.
So the average Negro here, they don't see this. They ain't looking at this. With the Israelis and the Americans, the government, U.S. government, looking at this. They're trying to cut it off. And then all the action you see happening is because of this.
While exporting machinery, electronics, industrial equipment, and manufactured goods, the economic relationship became increasingly diverse and complex. This expansion coincided with a broader shift in African economic thinking. Governments increasingly emphasized industrialization, value addition, and economic diversification, rather than simply exporting raw materials. Many countries sought to develop processing industries, manufacturing sectors, and industrial parks capable of creating job implications of this partnership. There is little doubt that it has altered the global economic landscape. Rather than
So all this right here, you're looking at creating thousands and thousands of jobs. Well, they just took the jobs from us over here. Where do you think we're gonna go? If these devils don't influence it or try to subvert it. This is right where we're going. This is where all the jobs are.
Viewing these developments as a contest between external powers, many Africans see them as evidence of growing opportunities and greater strategic choice. The continent's future will ultimately be determined not by which foreign partner gains the most influence, but by how effectively African nations use international partnerships to support sustainable development, industrial growth, and economic sovereignty. As Africa continues its rise on the global stage, its ability to navigate these changing relationships may become one of the defining factors shaping the future of the international economy. The growing economic partnership between Africa and China represents far more than an increase in trade volumes or investment projects. It reflects a deeper transformation taking place across the African continent, one in which governments are actively seeking greater economic flexibility, stronger negotiating power, and more diversified international relationships. The expansion of Africa-China trade has become one of the clearest examples of how global economic power is becoming more distributed and how Africa is positioning itself within this changing landscape.
Okay, that's what the problem is. You got anything on that?
And Shalom, Brother Leonard, that like you said, that base over in Gaza, right. And that and I was thinking about, I was listening to the classes last week, and how we talk about the data centers too, right? And the data centers and the bio labs, and they got I'm trying to think what they call, but just basically, I didn't know how much they were set up in Kenya already as well. Like
bio lab?
Well,
the
bio labs, but also just like Israel's ties, Israel and America's ties in Kenya.
Oh yeah, that's why you see that's why the oh boy, he just, like, I just replayed it. They said that they got serious influence over the African people in Africa.
Right.
Meaning they can bullshit them. Like they got the over these niggas over here. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, when he can tell you to don't read the book of Enoch, and then you don't even take the opportunity to read it. You don't read it because your enemy done told you, after all the shit he done, he done told you don't read it, and then you don't read it. These educated Negroes, doctors. Come on.
Right.
So same thing with this. Like I said, after all they done, you gonna get these demons your damn health records for your whole country. You know what I'm saying? Now you want to be a boule ass Negro, you can go get him yours. Shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but all the citizens?
The whole nation, you getting it to them. And then, like I said, you see why he doing it from what you just said. They got a stranglehold on Kenya. Okay? Ain't that something?
Right, yes, sir.
Okay, so with that being said, let's see where I'm at. Yeah, there's some need to know information right here. Let's check this out. This is damaging. Okay. Yeah.
You guys are having a great day. Man, I don't even know what the hell is going on anymore at this point. I really don't even understand what the hell to say at this point. So we're going to break it down for you, but the so-called deal between Iran and the U.S. has already fallen apart. People are still pretending like that's not the case.
We just talked about this last night and the night before. Check it out.
But it is the case. So I'm going to break all of that down for you. We also have, now there's talk, as I warned you, of Israel potentially blackmailing Trump in order to destroy this deal, which is already on baby deer legs. So we'll dive into all that. We have the White House is in chaos as regime insiders are turning on each other. You have people.
But this right here, this for all the Negroes that supporting Israel and saying that they going following the narrative with these people that gave them that they the Israelites and JC and Paul and all that shit. Okay.
Openly disagreeing with Trump, as you know, he hates. You have top officials with their jobs openly being threatened with leaks to the media if they don't fall in line and kiss Trump's ass. So there's so much going on. Later on, Zionist war pigs are in the midst of a shit-flinging tantrum over the Iran deal. We have the FBI is claiming there was another Trump assassination.
That's what I'm gonna talk about with my main topic is what these Edomites doing because of what's happening right here, because of this deal Trump made.
Attempt by drones at the UFC fight. Very, very sketchy stuff there as well. And also, the View hosts humiliate JD Vance over and over and over directly to his face. So you don't want to miss any of this stuff, man. Do me a big favor. As you all know, subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon. That helps out big time and costs you nothing at all. You can also support the show on Patreon. Remember, there's real independent media. Never talked to an advertiser. Never done an ad read. Very proud of that fact. You guys make that possible by giving $2 a month or $5 a month, whatever it may be, by tipping with that thanks button on YouTube. So much love to all of you who've kept this show going over the years. I promise you, I will never talk to an advertiser or do an ad read, all because of you. You can also sign up for Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. And go sub to Corn's World, where we do live Kyle and Corn episodes every Monday night. Come hang out with us over there. It's a lot of fun, and it's much more laid back than whatever the fuck we're doing here. Okay, so let's start with this. Let me break down for you exactly what's in this memorandum of understanding between Iran and the U.S. Now, by the way, a memorandum of understanding is just a fancy way of saying we're going to have a deal to make a deal in the future, to make a more specific, detailed, permanent deal in the future. So I believe this gives us 60 days to like halt hostilities, to then iron out specifics. That's the notion that we're talking about here, okay? But according to Clash Report here, what's in this memorandum of understanding that the U.S. and Iran agreed to? Well, number one, immediate permanent end to fighting on all fronts, including Lebanon. Now keep that in mind, because that's going to be a sticking point. That's going to be important in just a second here. U.S. immediately lifting the naval blockade on Iran and no further interference. The U.S. withdrawing all forces from the region within a month of the final deal. Iran lifting the Hormuz blockage within a month. U.S. and regional partners commit to an Iran reconstruction plan funded with at least $300 billion, okay? Now, Iran lifting the Hormuz blockade within a month is going to be difficult because there's mines in the strait, right? So this is going to require a lot of work to like free it up to get traffic back to what it was before. So it's not as simple as like, you know, they could just snap their fingers and open it up. It's actually a lot more complicated than that. And the $300 billion that they're getting, now, that is being framed as basically like it could be viewed as reparations, right? Like we bombed your hospitals and your schools and your steel plants and all these different civilian infrastructure things. So here's reparations for that. But the U.S. is trying to spin that by saying, no, it's not reparations. It's like an investment fund or something like that. Okay. And of course, even if that is true, of course, you're going to see Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff and all these Trump insiders get a massive piece of the pie. So it would be a colossally corrupt scheme, as with everything they do. Okay, they continue here. If the final deal is implemented, the U.S. removes all current sanctions, including UN IAEA resolutions. Iran commits to never build nuclear weapons. Enriched uranium issue to be resolved in the final deal. Until then, U.S. allows status quo on Iran's nuclear program. U.S. approves Iranian crude oil exports, including banking, insurance, shipping, and unfreezes all frozen Iranian funds. So when you look at this, what you should be thinking of is, oh, this is like the Obama nuclear deal, except substantially worse. Much better terms for Iran. And there's also some sticking points where, like them getting that $300 billion is a huge deal. And this is something theoretically Trump attacked Obama for, when all Obama did was return Iranian money that we have stolen from them, right? This goes above and beyond it. This is like actual reparations or money on top of just giving them back their own funds. So not only do you have that, another sticking point is going to be control of the Strait of Hormuz, because Iran is saying, no, us and Oman will control the strait, and yes, we're going to do a tax or a fee for ships to go through there. And the U.S. is still out there insisting, no, that's not the case. We're going to have it free and open. So right off the jump, there's irreconcilable differences that I still don't see, a way to bridge the gap here. So it's very strange everybody's acting like this deal is set in stone and is done and like we're good when we're not even remotely close to out of the woods for a number of reasons, because also Lebanon is a massive sticking point. Okay, we'll get to more on this in a second, but Israel is basically throwing a wrench in the works here. Okay, I came out and said there's literally a 0% chance the U.S. and Israel abide by the deal with Iran, and it's very strange like everybody's pretending the opposite right now. So I said that yesterday. Today, Israel launches fresh strikes on Lebanon despite Trump criticism. Oh, would you look at that? Imagine my shock that Israel is violating a so-called peace agreement or a memorandum of understanding. It's not like quite literally every single ceasefire they've done in modern history is a fake ceasefire, and they continue to go right back to barbarism and savagery and attacking civilians. Okay, now here's Trump. CNN put together a montage of the stuff he used to say when talking about Obama's Iran agreement, the JCPOA. And of course, to say this is hypocritical is a colossal understatement. Watch this.
I would have never given him back the money.
Oh, is that right?
I would have said the money is off the table. Let's start negotiating.
Oh, I see.
And you know what? I would have won that negotiation. We can't continue to make deals like that horrible Iran deal where we give them $150 billion back.
Yeah, we should give them $300 billion, not $150 billion. What are you guys talking about?
Iran deal was so bad. We paid $150 billion to sign a horrible agreement.
Now, by the way, that wasn't even the actual number that Obama gave, because like with Trump, literally every single thing is a lie. But like I said, this is the JCPOA, except significantly, objectively worse. We were in a much better position having never done this illegal war of aggression than we are now that we did. Basically, it is kind of like the terms the U.S. would have to agree to are surrender terms, but they're desperately trying to like clean up the PR and act like that's not the case when it is the case. Now, let me be clear. We should motherfucking surrender. Absolutely. You don't get to do illegal wars of aggression and bomb little girls at school and then like demand terms that we want. No, like we should have never done this war in the first place. I actually support giving them reparations for what we did to those poor people, right? But they're effectively trying to agree to the surrender terms while saying they're not surrender terms, and also having the psychopathic Israelis blow up anything that would be remotely, conceding to Iran that indeed they were right. And the main thing is, since they control the Strait of Hormuz, that's their veto card. That's their trump card, pun intended, because there's nothing you could do if they basically have the global economy in a chokehold. There's nothing you could do.
Exactly.
Going to do what I did.
Damn. Okay. Still more. Trump, the current Iranian leadership are very rational people, he says.
We're dealing with people that I think are very rational people. And they were nice to deal with. They were strong people, smart people. I think actually they're smarter than the first and second group. But they're not radicalized, and they're, looking to help their country.
So remember, the Iranians hired master psychologists, senior psychologists, in order to deal with Trump. And the psychologist said, here's how you handle him, here's what you do, here's how you get what you want. I think that shit is kind of working. Okay, here we go. So in response to all of that, mass flip out in Israel, the Zionist neocons are losing their goddamn minds. Now, what they don't understand or what they don't realize is the deal is already barbecue chicken. Israel already ruined the deal, right? The U.S. is going to insist that certain terms that they did agree to that actually, no, we didn't agree to those things. I would bet anything that there's no way this actually sticks. But nonetheless, even just the potential discussion of maybe reducing hostilities, maybe getting a ceasefire, maybe having some sort of an agreement, even just the talk of that makes the Zionist war pigs lose their mind. Okay? So first, as I told you, Trump is caught between a rock and a hard place here, because if he were to actually stop the war, which he should, and he should fucking surrender, well, as you all know, Jeffrey Epstein worked for Mossad. He was in with a bunch of intelligence agencies all around the world. And he had dirt on virtually every powerful person in his orbit. And so, as we know, there's pictures and videos of Trump with underage girls that Epstein had, which means Mossad has it, which means the Israeli government has it. You're going to start seeing, and by the way, not a coincidence, there was a story that came out immediately after we had this memorandum of understanding. A story comes out in a right-wing media outlet about, oh, it turns out Jeffrey Epstein was actually trying to get dirt on Trump and was trying to rat on Trump right before his death. Interesting. In other words, the Israelis are going to release the Kraken. If we actually follow through here and don't continue the illegal war of aggression against Iran, you're going to get all the dirt on Trump. So here is a former Israeli intelligence officer Ari Ben Menashe, and he says Netanyahu has unreleased Epstein material on Trump and other U.S. officials. Listen to this, y'all.
If there's a real deal between the Americans and the Iranians, and it's going towards that, Netanyahu will try to sabotage it. One of the ways he'd sabotage it is by putting out Epstein material against U.S. government officials, including Trump.
Think about that.
Yeah.
He's just saying it.
Exactly.
They're just saying it.
Ain't trying
Oh
to
yeah,
hide it.
we can get him to do whatever the fuck we want. We can do it the easy way, right? We'll give you hundreds of millions of dollars, to run your campaign. We'll be your best friend. We'll sing your praises, all that stuff.
Ain't that what the brother just said the other day?
Right.
He said they've been blackmailing them. All the shit. Reason why all these people falling in line with all this, they see that these people diabolical, but they got shit on them.
Right.
Okay.
Correct. That's exactly correct. The issue is not that Trump is, in a preliminary sense, agreeing to surrender here, which is what this is. The issue is they're liars, and they're not gonna follow through, and they already haven't followed through, and the Israelis are gonna fuck it up, and Trump is gonna back out, and we're gonna be right back to square one, and the Strait of Hormuz is gonna be shut, and the global economy is gonna be barbecue chicken. That's the issue. Okay. So I implore all of you, don't do this dumb thing I see a lot of people doing where they're basically like against the surrender. Like, no, we need to surrender. We never should have done this war in the first place. It was illegal. It was offensive. Iran deserves all the terms that they're getting, right?
So the thing about that is, look at that and bring it down to our level, to us. That means that the Walmart trucks, and all the supply trucks that come into Walmart and to Target and to all these different grocery stores, they ain't coming. That's where it's coming to. And like I said, the God that we deal with, not JC, the God in the Old Testament, that's what he deal with. He bring famine. He deal with the elements. He go straight to the point, get your mind right. While you sitting around, while you fumbling and sitting around, your food supply gonna get cut off. Okay. And I was talking to a brother a couple of weeks ago about how people don't realize your lifeline is in those trucks. You see coming into your neighborhood and your community every day with backing up to Walmart, backing up to these different stores. If they don't come, you ass out. That's what this all about. That's what's in the making. We don't even talk about the trifecta. Okay. You got anything on that?
The trifecta. And Shalom, brother Leonard. Have you seen some of those operations they've been running for the truckers? Like they're like ice operations, like they pulling people over, saying
yeah, I saw that.
And all that. Right, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So that,
all that's part of the play.
Right, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Exactly.
Right. You gotta where we at now. When you understand what all these people doing and looking at it, it's no different than what Hitler did. Same playbook. So when you say ICE, just go on and say the Gestapo. Huh?
Okay.
No, stop fumbling with it. That's how that is. So yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna open it up now for some Q&A for any questions, any comments, any dialogue, testimonies. You got anything, AJ?
Yes, sir, brother Leonard. I got a question about how we was reading in Isaiah, like Isaiah 14, and then in Ezekiel like 28 and 27, where it's talking about the king of Tyre and
right.
Yes, sir, and then with Ahaz in the throne. In the ascension of Isaiah, brother Leonard, can I read a few verses out of here, and then can you break down what this is saying for me. It's saying in this the ascension of Isaiah in the 54 book apocrypha in that gold one, and it says this chapter 1 verse 8, and it says, and Samuel will serve Manasseh and execute all his desire, and he will become a follower of Belial rather than of me, and he will cause many in Jerusalem and in Judea to abandon the true faith, and Belial will dwell in Manasseh, and by his hands I will be sawn apart. And when Hezekiah heard these words, he wept bitterly and tore his garments and placed earth on his head and fell on his face. And Isaiah said to him, the counsel of Samuel Manasseh is consummated. Nothing will avail you. And on that day, Hezekiah resolved in his heart to slay his son Manasseh. And Isaiah said to Hezekiah, the beloved has made your design of no effect, and the purpose of your heart will not be accomplished. For with this calling I have been called, and I will inherit the heritage of the beloved. And it came to pass after that Hezekiah died, and Manasseh became king, and that he did not remember the commands of his father Hezekiah, but forgot them. And Samuel abode in Manasseh and clung fast to him. And Manasseh forsook the service of the God of his father, and he served Satan and his messengers and his powers. And shalom.
Okay.
So, yes, sir.
Yeah. So if you when you write it divided, what they remind you of?
I mean, even
New
back
Testament. That's the New Testament. That happened. What he just told you that they took it out. Just like they tell you don't read the book of Enoch. They took out the fact that Manasseh killed Isaiah.
Yeah, so right, that was my other question, was because this ain't in the King James, but I've heard people say that before, that Isaiah got
he
killed,
killed
and
him.
I was like, where you get that from?
Right, he killed him, and he called, and it was just like what Balaam did when Balaam prophesied about David. Isaiah prophesied to Hezekiah what Manasseh was going to do. That's why he just said Manasseh after Balaam told him, after Isaiah told him what he was going to do, Hezekiah went to kill him because he knew it was going to come to pass, but he got cut off, and then Manasseh killed him. So that's where they're getting all this. That's where they're using that, and they're using it over in the New Testament about Peter getting killed upside down and all that bullshit. They got all that from the Old Testament.
Right. Okay.
Right. And then, like I said, Daniel is out of the seed of David.
Right.
Okay. Because of what Hezekiah did when he brought the Chaldeans down and puffed himself up. And then Manasseh prophesied and told him, your sons are going to serve the king of Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar coming here, and he gonna get you. Your son's going to be in his court. That's Daniel. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Right.
But like I said, who know that? Ain't there something? Exactly. So they took that, they took all that's happened, and they using it over in the New Testament. And what making look where they got the apostles getting persecuted, but they getting the content from the New Old Testament or the prophets. The prophets are the Most High servants, not the apostles. You see that?
Right. Yes, sir.
That's what they do. That's what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Just like they say how they synchronized. They stole the land of Israel when the Israelites came back from Babylon. But they didn't through getting slick ass linguists like Josephus and Sir Francis Bacon. They got you thinking that that's them that came out of Babylon. But the Israelites came out of Babylon. They stole the land of Israel. Because when they came out of Babylon, that was what beast was that? Second beast, right?
Right, yes, sir.
Okay, and then the third beast came. They don't have the third. They don't have the stories of the third beast. So by the time we get the third beast, that's them in the land of Israel. But Obadiah tell you they stole the land of Israel. That was Israelites that came out in the second beast. But they got you thinking it's them. I mean, there's Israelites in it, but I mean, yeah, I got you thinking it's them that came out of Babylonian captivity. No, they came in and they stole the land of Israel during the time of when the Greeks came, and they erased the understanding and the history of what all that happened before that. So making it look like them Israelites is those us Hebrews that's in the land of Israel at the time when they built the second temple. But they wasn't there. They came on the scene doing Obadiah. And like I said, all the drama, the library at Alexandria, all that. It's after that. That's when all the trickery came in. They writing books. And they took all that. That's when they concocted that's how Christianity came into play. They got the library at Alexandria. We got all these Edomites, Hebrew Israelites, Edomites in Alexandria. They're looking at our records and they concocting these books. That's the trade fathers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And they smoothed that over. They had to find a way how to smooth in. That's why I say that's where the linguists come in at. People like Josephus, and then Penny the Elder, Penny the Younger, all them. They smoothed over in Alexandria, Egypt. They smoothed that over, that transformation.
And so in Berlin, and so when you say in Alexander, Egypt, so that's okay, right. Obviously when Alexander the Great, once he took over. So that's like the 29th dynasty on forward. That's when the Greeks took over, right?
Right. That's when the king of fierce countenance, understanding dark sentences, that's where they're coming in at, right? Up in that same time. That's at the end of the third beast. And the third beast is not in scripture. We see where Gabriel prophesied it to Daniel, but it never came to pass. They took that history out, in order to bring in JC and to bring them in when they stole the land in the book of Obadiah. Like I said, when you go to first Maccabees, the temple get looted again. See what I'm saying? When it got looted by Nebuchadnezzar, we see in Ezra, Cyrus came out and gave him all those vessels and everything, and they took it back, right?
Right, yes, sir.
Well, Antiochus came and looted it again. So where the vessels? What vessels is that's in the temple that Herod built?
Fake, counterfeit.
Counterfeit. Is it? It ain't got nothing. That temple ain't got nothing to do with Yahweh. It ain't got nothing to do with the Lord of hosts. That's what I was telling you the other day about that's where the 500 years came in at.
Okay, right.
And the only way you can do that is you had to be sitting there and, like I said, reading one precept after another one, and they show you that. They show you the Edomite up in the tower with a candle, doing that. The monk, you read one word out, they read one line after line and hoodwinked
it. Right, wicked.
Oh yeah, wicked as hell. And then turn around and tell you that don't read this, and then you listen. Like I said, it's shameful. In 2000, 2026, it's shameful.
Right, it is.
So, yeah.
So,
You get something?
so and
You got anything else?
yes, sir, brother. I have one more question about this is First Chronicles 8 and 5. My fault. Okay, I'm right here. First Chronicles 8 and 5, and 20. First Chronicles 20 and 1. Okay. Uh, so this, brother Leonard, this is about. My question is about the because I was reading somewhere in First Chronicles or Second Chronicles where it was talking about when David actually took the crown off the Ammonite king, and so when he took the crown was of gold and it had jewels in it, right? And they yes sir. And so the when you read in Jasher or Jubilees, I know that the Moabites and the Ammonites they married Canaanite women. So like the ones that was around like David in them time, they probably could have been giants or what have you,
Okay.
right? But the point of my question is, and my fault, I must have wrote down the wrong verse because I don't see that in First Chronicles 20. But what the verse did state it described the crown that it was gold and that it had jewels in it, and that David had took it off of matter of fact, brother Leonard, it's right where it was Robert when they took over Robert when Joab had took Robert, then he sent to David for David to come finish off the city so it wouldn't be called after Joab's name. I remember it's wherever that is, that's where I read it. But my point is when Israel was asking to have a king, Brother Leonard, instead of a judge, and in that verse it specifically says that we want a king like the nations that goes out and fights battles for us.
Right. Exactly. Right. That's where they come from. They
Okay.
was they focused on those crowns that those kings had on their head. That's what they focused. So they wanted a king with a crown on his head, just like the kings they encountered in Deuteronomy chapter 2.
Right. Okay. You're right. Yes, sir.
But if you go back to when Zerubbabel and Joshua was brought when he brought them forth, he told he got those he had Israelite men that he had put the spirit of craftsmanship on them. Remember that?
Right. Yes, sir.
They know how to. He put the spirit of knowledge on them how to craft gold and silver and all that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He told them to go. He told them to go make 2 crowns.
Right. Yep. Okay. Exactly.
2 crowns for one for Zerubbabel and one for Josiah.
Right. Because them was is holy from all the way. Because you ain't just take them off a giant or what have you.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Well, that's what that is. But like I said, but what they're showing you is how Israel was covenanting those Canaanite people and what they was doing and everything they wanted. That's why they wanted a king. They saw that those Canaanites had king. He was decked out. So they said they wanted a king. Even though they seen all the things that the Lord of hosts had done, but they wanted a physical king, a man over them, like the giants had.
Right. A strong man. Right, brother Leonard.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Is that something?
Right. Sure.
Yeah, that's how that go. So what I'm gonna do? I'm on a dialogue. I was telling you how that how we saw the thing that China and the connections that China and Africa have made, and how they're advancing at breakneck speed. In the West, the drama you see going on, and the panicking and all that within is they see that what's happening. They see those Israelites, those fake Jews over there. They see it, and America see it, and the European nations see it, and they didn't came together trying to cut it off. So here goes some examples. Okay, one right here, one right here.
Reporter of that piece, Atlantic staff writer Clint Smith. Clint, in your reporting, you spoke with several Black military officers, many who wish to remain anonymous, and who said that under Pete Hegseth's leadership, they feel sidelined or even erased. What is it like to be Black in Hegseth's military right now? What did they tell you?
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a really hard time over the last year and a half for members of the military, particularly Black members of the military. And I think they're experiencing a sort of cognitive dissonance where on the one hand, they are being subjected to rhetoric and policy from Pete Hegseth and from those of his ilk and these other political appointees within the Trump administration and the Pentagon that are telling them implicitly and explicitly that they are not worthy of high-ranking positions, that they don't deserve to be in these positions and to be in these rooms, that their service is somehow less worthy or less meaningful than the service of others, that you are not, that Pete Hegseth will step in to prevent you from attaining a rank that you otherwise deserve, that has been decided previously by people who are high-ranking military officials. And on the other hand, there's this sense of wanting to stay and wanting.
What that remind you of when you hear that?
I'm drawing a blank, brother Leonard. What?
So, Castlevania.
Oh, right. Okay. Round up.
And King Alpha playing. Remember what he said? He told you all the military people, you're going to jail. All the Black politicians, you think you can ride?
Right.
When the shit go down, you going to jail. They take you off the scene.
Right.
They're gonna take your weapon. Military people, they're gonna take your weapon. Come on.
Right, yes, sir. You're right, because he said you proud Negroes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes, sir.
To say, this administration is going to be gone long after, or long before we are going to be here much longer than the administration will, and we have a responsibility to stay. And so I think there's this tension between some wanting to leave and retire early, and then also wanting to stay and make sure that they protect everything that they've built.
Yeah, and to affect change, you have to sort of stay in the game mentality, it sounds like. One retired officer that you spoke with, Colonel Gerald Curry, who spent 27 years on active duty in the Air Force and another 15 years in the civilian role at the Pentagon, he expressed deep concern about the direction the military is heading. What did he tell you changed once Pete Hegseth became Defense Secretary?
Come on.
Yeah, so Dr. Curry, along with so many others, talked about how they would step into rooms and feel this sense of, there's always been, to be clear, a sense of question of whether people belong in the room, and as long as Black people have been in the military. But it's taken on a different texture in the context of this administration. And for Dr. Curry, the sort of straw that broke the camel's back was when he was told that there were certain books that were going to be taken out of these military academies, out of the Air Force Academy, out of West Point, and so many others. And the idea that they would prevent young cadets, young soldiers from encountering information about American history, about sociology, about even in novels and fiction, the work of Maya Angelou being taken out of some of these libraries and some of these military institutions. And for him, that idea that you would remove books with certain ideas that are meant to render the.
Yeah, it's a pastor in New York City that he about 2012 somewhere up in there. He prophesied. I mean, yeah, I guess you can say he prophesied that what's happening now is happening now. He prophesied all this. His name is Pastor Manny. Just Google him. And then the other one is the King Alfred plane. That's the name of that. You can Google that. King Alfred plane. KINGALFRED plane. King Alfred plane. Okay.
World and meant to render America a more complex and more honest place. Is the opposite of the sort of preparation one would need in order to go out into the world and serve on behalf of this country.
And Curry also pointed to the removal of portraits like that of General Chaffee James Jr., the first Black four-star general, from prominent spaces in the Air Force Gallery at the Pentagon. What message does it send when even symbols honoring generations of Black military contributions are removed or essentially erased?
Yeah, it has a hugely damning impact on so many of the folks inside of the Pentagon and in the military more broadly. I begin the piece talking about Chappie James, as you mentioned, because.
So what you think? You got any feedback?
Right, Brother Leonard. Yes, sir. We, like you said, with Pastor Manning and everything that's happening, even with the what you call it, the trifecta, this a part of us leaving here soon. Like you keep saying, something happening before November. So
right, it's all being staged, but they gonna see you can't see none of that if you you know what I'm saying? If you dealing with JC in the New Testament, you can't see none of that.
Right.
Is there some?
Yes, sir.
Now he gonna want to play this. Go ahead.
I was gonna say too, Brother Leonard, with the elections for the governor or what have you, because I guess they just did that, and but they're making a real fuss about it because definitely down here it's a MAGA governor that's running, and everybody is real against the woman that's running or whatever, because she supposed to be like real pro Trump.
Okay. Is there some?
Right, yes, sir. So just how it seemed like they're making it a big fuss, or maybe there's just the most I've been paying attention to when they vote for governors, but it seemed like they made it try and make it a big fuss to have like Trump people either in place before, like in the early votes. When they was doing the early votes or whatever like that, seemed like they're trying to have Trump people in there before the midterm.
Oh yeah, right, yeah, but that ain't gonna work because, like I said, that ain't gonna work because the people already see what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? And they don't want to deal with them. You hear it all over the internet. They don't want to deal with them because of how they affected their lives. They're looking at how they affect their lives. Let me play this right quick. This the part two to that. What these people got going on. I've talked about this the last couple of videos. Yesterday on the women's line, and then the video before that.
Is back in session and what?
A rare cause for celebration. In the Ituri province, a rare cause for celebration. Daniel Kitambala has become the second patient at this hospital to fully recover from Ebola.
That disease is terrible. I felt very weak, but I thank God I'm now healed. I'm so grateful. Praise be to God.
With no vaccine or known treatment for the circulating Bundibugyo strain, health workers savoured the moment given the increasingly dire situation. According to the head of Africa's Centres for Disease Control and Prevention, the current outbreak could become the worst in history, with only roughly 12% of close contacts currently under active follow-up, meaning tens of thousands are not being traced. In the province's capital, Bunia, medical clinics have mobilised to screen and isolate suspected cases, but residents say the situation is getting worse every day.
We see ambulances passing by everywhere and people dying daily. It hurts and scares us.
Adding to the challenges, the peak could be yet to come. This Red Cross official believes it could take at least a year for the outbreak to end, citing a lack of testing capacity and public trust issues.
Some people still question whether the disease is real. Some, they believe the outbreak was invented to attract foreign monies. Trust is central. Without trust, we cannot detect cases early. We cannot ensure safe and dignified borders. We cannot even protect families.
On Tuesday, G7 leaders called for a strong and coordinated response to the Ebola outbreak, urging nations to dedicate resources to contain its spread.
Is there something? What do you think about that?
Shalom, man. We
officials in Africa are warning that.
Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Brother Leonard, you talk about that, how the what is it? They weaponizing the viruses and then taking away the medical aid over there.
Right. Is there something? But you know, the average president, that's over their pay grade, because they can't see none of that. They're Christians and they can't see none of that. It's, or grace. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so here we go. I want to play this. I was talking earlier. I said my main topic was this 2.1 million head of cattle. I told you it's a drought, so-called drought, or what you call that? Well, it's a food shortage coming, but it's been engineered. Here we go. Here we go.
Cattle, or you just simply care about where your beef comes from, then you need to pay attention to what's happening right now in the state of Pennsylvania. On June 12th, just a couple days ago, JBS USA, a Brazilian company, by the way, who just happens to be the world's largest meat packer. Well, they announced that they were closing their meat packing facility in Soderton, Pennsylvania. Now, that plant employed about 1,700 people. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in just a minute, because there's an interesting story behind that as well. And it also processed over 2,000 head of cattle every single day. Put that into perspective, it is one of the largest facilities on the East Coast of the United States. Very centrally located. Now, they're also closing a value-added plant in Tennessee, which is losing about 200 jobs. And that matters not as much as the Pennsylvania plant, but it does matter when it comes to our food supply. And it was all a part of the same press release. So we're going to talk about them both. Now, every time you hear about this happening, they say that they're just shifting capacity to other plants, that supply is going to remain uninterrupted. But here's the question I don't hear a whole lot of people asking about all this. And I think this matters to every cattle producer and everybody else out there who wants to have a functioning food supply. If the cattle herd recovers and our beef prices start to become affordable again, where do those animals actually go? Where are they going to end up going? You know, when you lose regional processing capacity, it doesn't just affect today's prices. It has an extraordinary impact on whether or not cattle producers can even get their animals to market at all. And that right there influences whether or not they have any incentive to rebuild our protein supply in the first place. Guys, this story is much bigger than just one plant closing. What this story actually is a story about market access for producers disappearing while our herds are at multi-decade lows. Now stay with me here because we're going to talk about what happened with JBS. We'll share what JBS is saying about it. We'll share with you what the numbers actually show. And then we're also going to talk about what this actually means for those who raise cattle and what it actually means for the consumer. So in JBS's June 12th press release, they called this network changes to strengthen operations. I think the exact language was something along the lines of targeted changes, growth modernization, and long-term competitiveness. They say that production from Soderton and Memphis will simply be absorbed
targeted changes
into the rest of their network, strengthening their position, making food processing more affordable. I love how they twist these things. Now, of course, they said that these decisions are never easy to make and that they're going to be helping all of their team members transition to new careers. HR is helping them with their resumes, finding new jobs, all the good stuff for everybody except for the cattle producers. And that's usually, you know, what we hear in corporate statements like this. But now let's look at what is actually leaving Pennsylvania. This is where this story gets a little more concrete for producers. In the last year alone, and I'm not talking about going all the way back to COVID, because if you go all the way back to COVID, we've seen a lot of processors, a lot of capacity come offline. But in the past year alone, while the herd has been at its lowest since the 1950s. Okay, we've seen a lot of large capacity facilities come offline. In January, many of you probably remember that Tyson closed its Lexington, Nebraska plant. That facility was more than double the size of this one in Pennsylvania. It handled over 5,000 head of cattle every single day. That Tyson plant alone was roughly 1.25 million head of cattle a year. They also reduced their Amarillo, Texas plant. They reduced it from 2 shifts to 1 shift, cutting the capacity in half.
Like I said,
is that when you
just like the coyote and the road runner, he steady cutting the bottom off money, but he don't see it. That's what's going on right here. Come on, hold up. Okay.
Close a plant the size of this in Soderton, Pennsylvania. You are reducing regional access that independent producers rely on for their own businesses, their own farms. For ranchers in Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, or even parts of the Southeast, having a plant that's within regional driving distance, reasonable driving distance, actually makes a big difference. It matters. It matters for transportation costs. It matters for animal strength. That's when the animal, because of having to be transported long distances, actually loses weight. So
2 million heads of beef then vanished. Okay, let that ferment. Okay, got anything on that, AJ?
In Shalom, Brother Leonard, like you said, famine, right? And I remember it might have even, yes sir, it might have been last year now even. We 6 months in, but remember when Brazil, they said like we was getting like 80% or something percent produce from Brazil, and then they cut that off when Brits cut it off. Yes sir. So,
Oh yeah, but then don't forget the CD printing they doing too, right?
Exactly the lab meat.
Right, you getting fake ass meat, and then they're cutting off the real meat. But anyway, the brother was just asking about Pastor Manning. Well, here you go, right here. This is the video I'm talking about.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Obama's gonna take.
So this was like maybe 10 years ago, I'm thinking, when I played this, yeah.
Take away your citizenship. Obama's gonna take away the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment of the Constitution, and he's gonna send you and all other black people. Obama with Bill Gates and with Bill Clinton are gonna send you and all other black people to either 2 places. You can stay here in the Western Hemisphere, and he's gonna send you to Haiti, but he's going to round y'all up from South Central Los Angeles. He's going to round y'all up from the mega churches down in Dallas. He's going to round y'all up from the mega churches in Atlanta. He's going to round y'all up from New York, from Chicago, and he's going to send y'all back to Africa. That's right. Bill Gates wants y'all out of America.
Come on.
Mark Zuckerberg wants y'all out of America. George Soros wants y'all out of America.
Technocrats.
I'll tell you something, my friends. And not too many years from now, black people are going to be sent back to Africa. Something that many say should have been done shortly after the Civil War. Well, Obama is going to be the one that put the policy in place, destroy the effectiveness of the Constitution, take over all your resources and your property, the National Defense Authorization Act, and anybody can be arrested. What that means is this: all black people are gonna be arrested and gonna be sent back to the.
So he was off a little bit. It's Trump Project 2025.
West Coast or to the Sahara in Africa or Sub-Saharan Africa, and there'll be nothing you can do about it. You'll have no constitution to call upon. No lawyer can defend you. There'll be no congressman, nor senator, nor judge that will hear your case. You run around here, Bishop Jackson, with Jesse and Al and all these cross-dressers, all of these transvestites, all of these race baiters and race slicksters and hustlers. You run around here and you let the devil get on the throne of the White House. And now in not too many years, you go read the National Defense Resource Act. Obama owns all property. You read the National Defense Authorization Act. Anybody can be arrested, picked up at any time, and sent to any country. And that is not for white people. It's for black people. They're going to send you back to Africa, and it will solve America's economic problems. It'll solve America's crime problems. It will solve America's industrial problems. He's going to send you black people back to Africa. The National Defense Authorization Act, the destruction of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment of the Constitution. Obama is the son of Satan. I repeat, get down on your knees. Don't lead a press conference to rebuke Obama, but call black preachers and black churches down. You better hear me. You better hear me. You better hear what I have to say. You will be within the next 5 years on the west coast of Africa, meeting with your ancestors that sold you more than 300 years ago. You're going back to Africa, black preacher. You black liars, you're going back to Africa. And Kenny Jackson's going too. You're going back to Africa. What Obama's going to do? He's already getting FEMA. He's already getting major transport. He's already getting FEMA ready to deal with rounding up black people and sending you back to Africa. The son of Satan. Pray. Put on sackcloth and ashes. Pray. And ask God. Ask God to forgive you. And then maybe you'll hear what I have to say. Maybe we can stay in America. Maybe. But the die is already cast. The deal is already in place. He's going to round all your black people up. He's going to round all of you up. You can run to the mountains and try to hide in the mountains if you can. And pray that your flight be not in winter. And woe unto them that give suck during the days when Obama starts rounding up black people and sending them back to Africa under the National Defense Authorization Act. He'll give you money. And Bishop T.D. Jakes will be your president. Al Sharpton will be the president. And Jackson and others will be presidents of various countries. But you're going back to Africa 5 years from now. South Central Los Angeles will be bereft and swept clean
Ice.
of all black people. Chicago swept clean of black people. You're going back. He's the son of Satan. And I'm James David Manning. I'm the Lord's anointed.
Okay, yeah, so that's what we was talking about right there. That's Pastor Man. Okay. You got a thing on that?
Shalom, brother Leonard. Just that like you said, the timing or whatever that he may have been a little off about is not important, but the content and the meat, yes sir,
You
what
can
he
see
said,
it. You can see it's Project 2025.
you can
You
see
can
it.
see it's Trump, right? And King Alpha playing.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
then the Obama part, just during that time, I remember when you played this, like you said years ago, I remember looking up on the Congress.gov about what he was talking about. Obama setting up all that FEMA
Yeah,
stuff.
he set it up. Trump coming in behind him, but he set it up. But Trump, Project 25 is actually bouncing off of what Obama set up.
Right.
Exactly.
Change.
Right. Right. Yeah. So you good?
Right. Yes, sir.
Right. So I was talking about how that what's going on with what Trump just did when he made this deal with Iran, and he spurned those Israelis. Okay. Well, you got to be looking for some repercussions on that real soon. Like I said, our time running out. But check this out. This them responding to what Trump did. Okay. Here we go.
Miriam Adelson, the Israeli billionaire that forked up 250
Edomite, Israeli, she's the one that pretty much paid Trump way into the White House.
$1 billion for Trump's presidential campaign. Her media outlet, Israel Hayom, is now putting out an article that Trump is a traitor, an embarrassment, and a failure for the Iran peace deal. That's how much she flipped, or her media outlet flipped on Trump because he went forward with peace with Iran and stopping the bloodshed. So I'm going to go ahead and read to you guys this article.
So I remember back in the day, I ain't know shit about none of this, man. Like I said, walking around like a tit on a ball. You got thousands of millions of niggas doing the same thing right now. Have no idea all this going on right in your face, but you dealing with some more shit. Okay.
It's truly insane, and actually, I want to stop that. When I say he chose peace to stop the bloodshed, what he really chose is just to allow negotiations for another 60 days, so that way the oil prices and the markets are a little bit better. That's the reason. Let me go ahead and share my full screen here, so that way you guys can see this. Here's the article. You could have been the greatest president of all, but you failed, Mr. President. You have gravely harmed the human interests of the enlightened world. And you may be remembered forever as the president who brought about America's humiliation. You betrayed us, the Israelis, and in a single moment, the contempt you once faced suddenly seemed so justified and logical. Danny Zakin writes to the U.S. president. Crazy. I'm also gonna show you guys this man's X profile, the authors, because I was able to find it. Mr. President, my name is Danny Zakin. Danny, you're a psychopath. I'm a proud Israeli citizen who's not an American citizen who should just be quiet, who has worked in journalism and covered developments in the region and around the world, including our country's relation with the great U.S. for many years. And from where I see it, where I sit near Jerusalem, the eternal capital of the people of Israel, since the days of the kingdoms of David and Solomon, I say to you, you made a colossal mistake. I'd really love just to DNA test this guy and see the guy who says that he descends from, the Middle East. I'd really love to see whenever they pull this thing. To me, it just makes me roll my eyes. You failed by signing a surrender agreement with a murderous and cruel terror regime. You severely harmed American interests. That's false. And the democratic and human values of the enlightened world. And you turned over the hourglass toward the next war, which your successors will have to deal with in the years to come. In doing so, you sealed the fate of many thousands of people, civilians, women, and children, and elderly, who the regime in Iran will torture and murder, just as it murdered more than 40,000 of them at the beginning of the year. Where do they inflate these numbers from? Where does the numbers come from? So citizens of the neighboring countries whom Iran and its terrorist proxies will murder fighters who will be killed in the war against Iran and terrorism it operates. And yes, many Americans too. It just goes on, and it's really just just straight up trashing him. And has now been America, supposed to return to greatness, has now been humiliated into the dust. A journalist with ethics, former commander of IDF Radio, former chairman of Journalists Association, commentator for Israel Hayom, and soon something else in the present, fresh grandpa. You're a psychopath is what you are. And here he is with the IDF. As usual, I mean, this is, oh wow, not only in Israel, the fear in Arab countries of the American retreat. You know what I really dislike? What I've noticed that pro-Israel talking heads is this is why you get trust AI. Yes, he's 2 years older than Israel. Donald Trump is 2 years older than Israel. So yes, it never existed before Trump, actually. Israel did not exist until after Trump. You have just now made that a little more difficult. Your ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, rightly said, without Israel, America would not exist. And behind him stands millions of Christian believers, good American citizens who feel the exact same way. America existed before you guys. You know, this is, well, they're so, I can't, this is the most twisted, totally untouched from reality type of statement somebody can make. America has existed since 1776. Israel isn't even 80 years old. What are you on about? How do they make up these? They just make up straight up lies, and then they just assume that what people are not going to call them out. Israel has not existed before Trump, and the current state of Israel, that was basically Rothschilds created with Britain. That has nothing to do with previous states of Israel. The Palestinians have more genetic ties.
So the Lord of hosts said, and these Negroes got this all twisted. He said he's going to pour out, knowledge is going to increase. That's what you're looking at right here. This white boy right here, knowledge will increase. No longer, our grandparents and shit, they bullshitted them. Old black Negro bullshit. But now it ain't happening. The Most High, the truth that came out. The Most High brought forth knowledge. Knowledge will increase. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I say what I say about it's shameful. You haven't elevated your understanding to the point to understand that these people concocted JC, that whole scenario and all that. Everything else you see, they concocted it. These people over here, they got you thinking they're the Israelites, and we even got they so-called own kind. They figured it out. The Most High, he done pulled out so much information on Hebrew Israelites till it's overflowing on these folks. They waking up. Then you got Negroes still running around talking about JC and trying to defend that, trying to defend the nation of Israel. It's shameful. Okay. Got anything on that?
Shalom. It's too late in the times to be dealing with JC still, brother Leonard.
You will.
Look at these current events.
Exactly. Well, here we go. I got one more.
Is the line a rundown?
All right, friends. We are in uncharted territory here. Trump turned on Israel. J.D. Vance is openly speaking out against Israel as well. And I did not see this coming whatsoever. First of all, Trump said, bump everybody. I'm signing this memorandum of understanding with Iran, which basically get the right to sell oil in a way that they haven't done in years. It opens up the Strait of Hormuz. It basically creates the understanding that they're going to do something about their nuclear program, but it also opens up the avenue to give them like $300 billion in Gulf funding. So Iran made out really well. He's been getting a lot of flack, and he said, yeah, bump y'all, I'm signing this anyway. So reaction from lawmakers and world leaders is all over the place. People started throwing around words like pathetic, failure, worst foreign policy blunder in decades, but also historic opportunity. a major win and a peaceful resolution. And Trump did say, you know what, if people don't like this or this ends badly, I'm just going to blame JD Vance. Listen to this.
I'm going to take the credit. If it doesn't work out, I'm blaming JD. You better be careful, JD. He's going to turn his plane around and get the hell out of here. Yeah, I like that idea. I think it's a good idea.
Okay, so obviously I think he was kidding, but more importantly, can you pull that video back up and put it on silent and just play it? Because I want to point something out that a lot of people actually keep online. You know, Howard Lutnick is here. He's just kiki laughing like, you know, they usually do when Trump makes a joke, because he's probably just happy you guys forgot that he's in the Epstein files. Look at Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is pissed. Marco Rubio wanted to send it over the ledge with Israel. So if you play it out, do the joke again, play the whole thing out again, you can see this man is not laughing where they usually laugh at Trump's jokes. Stone cold silence. Pissed. Israeli leaders are in full-on panic mode that Trump totally cut them out, jumped ship to make peace with Iran, and is trying to force
that's what I was just showing you.
Them to stop fighting in Lebanon at this point. And JD Vance was popping off about this today. JD Vance says he thinks the leaders in Israel need to be a little more grateful right now. You guys are not going to believe how far he went with this statement.
And this does bother me, is that you've seen people within Bibi's cabinet who have come out and attacked the deal, and in some ways very personally attacked the President of the United States. And I guess my message to them would be twofold. Number one, Donald J. Trump is the only head of state in the entire world who is sympathetic to the nation of Israel at this moment in time. And he happens to be the head of state of the world's superpower. If I was in the cabinet of the Israeli government, I might not be attacking the only powerful ally that I have anywhere left in the entire world. Bibi, to his credit, has not gone down this path. But to some of these cabinet members in Israel who are attacking the President of the United States, the other thing that I would say is that over the last 3 months, 2/3 of the defensive weapons that have protected your homeland have been built by American hands and paid for by American tax dollars. The problem for Israel is not Donald J. Trump. And anybody in Israel who thinks their biggest problem is the President of the United States needs to wake up and smell the reality of the situation that country is in. Thank you all.
Nobody talks about Israel in our government like that. And that is not all JD Vance said. He actually sat down for an interview and he doubled down on the Israeli leaders who are trashing this.
But yeah, you've seen people in their system, Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, who've attacked the deal. And I guess my response to them would be, what is your exact proposal? And you know, you're a country of 9 million people. You can't just kill your way out of solving every single national security problem that you have.
So I don't know if you guys see it. Can you pull up this picture? I'm seeing a split. I'm seeing two presidential runs right here. I'm seeing the Republican side who wants to ally with Israel and a Republican side who thinks Israel has gone too far in their pursuit of terrorists. JD Vance feels like Israel kills civilians too freely going after terrorists. Rubio feels like Israel is doing what they need to do to defend themselves. And the comment section is once again shook it. Sink said, finally, this is the kind of energy we need from our leaders. I hate to give JD Vance credit, but he's obviously correct here. It is infuriating to see they can just assume they can boss us around when we're their only remaining ally and they owe us everything. A lot of people around the world have been very critical in what Israel's done in Gaza, what Israel's doing in the West Bank, what Israel's doing in Lebanon, and we have been their staunch ally this whole time. So not a bad point. Ronald Wing said, so Israel doesn't have the right to speak out against a deal that threatens its very existence? You're not the one living in Israel. You're not the one on the front lines dealing with daily terror, yet you think you're in a position to lecture them? Are you serious, Mr. Vice President? That's another fair point. We're not there with Hezbollah shooting rockets at us. That's probably terrifying. Having to...
Yo,
Go ahead.
yo, that is crazy. JD Vance is holding his own. He's holding his cojones up, man.
I literally think that if he probably feels like if he has to go down with the ship, let me just go down with the ship. Because they're gonna put all this on me anyway. I may as well speak my chest.
Yeah, you got to. That is wild to me, and I love the fact that Marco Rubio just stayed there and showed his true colors. You guys understand, Marco Rubio has received a lot of AIPAC money, or PAC money from the Israel sector, the pro-Israel sector, along his whole entire political campaign amongst the years. So it just goes to show that he's of course upset, but because Israel is the people that may be supplying his money.
And you know what's crazy? Because I saw so many people online say, well, JD Vance's career is over. And it's like, for speaking out against another country, why should your American career be over for speaking out against another country?
Yeah.
That's how entrenched they are with our government.
Mind you, y'all, we have given over the times, we have given $300 billion over the times of our relationship, around or over $300 billion to Israel since the 19-somethings. We don't receive money from Israel. All we have is a military presence, and it's not even really a military. We just literally just pay these people, $9 million people out there in Israel, and we don't really get much from them except that they have a military. They're able to grow and build and do all the Donald Trump being liked. So that means he will turn on anybody that may be paying him, maybe doing anything else. As long as Trump feels like he's liked and everybody else likes it, then he's good. He's been hearing that nobody likes it. He's been seeing these reports. I would hope that he's been seeing these reports. Maybe JD Vance has been showing him these reports.
Low key. Remember when he was saying during that Easter lunch brunch at the White House, oh, if you say anything nice to me and you're nice to me, I'll give you anything you want.
Yeah.
That's dang near like a verbatim quote. So he might have been looking at all this hate. B, I saw a rumor online. I don't know if it's real. The rumor was that basically the Iranian leadership who were in the negotiations got a psychiatrist to basically diagnose Trump and figure out the best way to talk to him. And all of a sudden, Iran's getting everything they want. I didn't know that was real, so I didn't want to report it for real. Because I was like, if that's the case, it would explain the 180 and it explains how it seems like he's been played like a fiddle, because this is just not where he started.
Yeah.
But
okay, what you think?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. It seems like for me, on top of what's happening with the peace talks or what have you, and the JD Vance though, him just being on the scene recently, it seemed like they've been blowing them up, especially every time though they supposed to have those they supposed to have that little sit down, and last time it didn't go well.
Exactly. Is that something? Well, it's something, like I said, if you understand how these people operate and what's going on, it's something very, very, very ugly from the happen. Okay? You gotta, we're gonna pick a scripture so we can read it, and then we'll break it down, talk about it, and close out.
Right, Shalom. Brother Leonard, can I'll read that Exodus 23 and 20.
Okay.
And I got and it says, behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies and an adversary unto thine adversaries. For my angel shall go before thee and bring thee unto the Amorites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Canaanites, the Hivites, the Jebusites, and I will cut them off. And Shalom, that was Exodus 23 and 20 through verses 23.
Okay, what's the significance of that?
And just with these verses, Brother Leonard, just how everybody talk about the Most High and the Most High only, and
Right.
Yah only. But to me, right here, and I'm asking this, Brother Leonard, to me it sounds like he just gave a command right here when he say, "Behold, I send an angel to keep thee in the way, and I will bring thee in the place which I prepared." It said, "Beware of him, and obey his voice, and provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him." Because, I mean, if this the Most High, and I'm asking, though, if this the Most High talking, and so whatever he say really is a command, right? Right?
Right. So when you understand what's happening, the Most High, the Creator God, came down on top of the mountain, and that's why the mountain quaked and erupted and all that. And he was only there for a certain time, 40 days. And then when he left, he told Moses, "I'm leaving this angel here. This is who you're dealing with, this angel. Listen to him. Obey his voice. I'm leaving." So then when you go to Deuteronomy 28 and you look at the blessings, and then you get to Genesis 15, you go to Deuteronomy 28 and 15, he says, "Obey my voice. You didn't obey my voice. This is what's going to happen." So the voice they're obeying is the angel over here we just read. You just read it in 23 and 20, right?
Right.
And so to go even further, you go back to the beginning in the creation story. The creator is talking to somebody else. We start out in verse chapters 1 and 2. Chapter 1, verses 1 and 2. Yahweh is in verse 1, and the Spirit of God, the angel of God, is in verse 2. And then you read that whole story, the creation story, and he's telling somebody to make this and to make that. And then he examined it. Then he say it's good. Then he to go on. So he's not by himself. He's talking to another being. And the being he's talking to is the one doing the creating. So you say, what you talking about? Well, Michael. What do Michael mean? He who creates. That's who's doing the creating. That's who's doing everything. Most High telling him he's the creative spirit. And that's what they did in the New Testament when they concocted it. They just like on a chessboard, they knocked him off the board and put JC on there. When you go to Matthew, the word, all that's in Genesis chapter 1. There was already a being there, the Lord of hosts. Then they come in Genesis chapter in Matthew and John and talk about how the word in the beginning was a word. No. In the beginning, it tells you in Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, the Spirit of God moved upon the waters. That's who he's talking to. And he's telling them what to do. And when he do it, then he examine it, then he says it's good. But like I say, these Negroes been told not to read the book of Enoch when they don't read it. So to expect them to perceive what's being said now, come on.
Right.
Does it make any sense?
It does, yes, sir. And
Right.
and just like you said, because reading through Isaiah and Jeremiah, the Lord of hosts, whoever that is, right? The Lord of hosts,
Right.
brother, and he keeps saying, "You didn't obey my voice."
Right, exactly. And the precept that you got to bounce off of is 23 and 20. He left this angel here to deal with Israel. And then so when you come to the understanding of that, you come to find out that he's like I just said last night. This angel is the judge. When he talked to Abraham, and Abraham told us through the conversation that this angel is three angels came. Two of them went to Sodom. Abraham stayed with the Lord, this angel, and then And he told him, you know, what you gonna do? And this angel is the one. There ain't no, and Jesus ain't there, and Yahweh ain't there. And Abraham told him, you the judge. You the judge of the whole earth. So what do a judge do? He deal with, he bring forth for judgment. Okay, so let's look at that right quick before I close out. I'm in Zechariah, and so like I say, these type of scriptures to a Hebrew Christian, it roll off like water on a duck bag. But understanding how the Most High works, I'm gonna give it to you anyway because you never know. So I'm in Zechariah, right? And, you know, it's these are these precepts you can't get out of it. If you're seeking the truth, you can't get out of them. But you know, that these blue ass niggas there, and it's gonna roll off like water on duck bag. So I'm in Zechariah right quick, chapter 3. So what's going on is they left Babylon, and they get ready to leave Babylon. And the Lord of hosts, which is his angel Michael, he has to go and he got a covenant, not Yahweh. This angel got a covenant with David. He always gonna have a seed out of David lineage on David's throne, and he got a covenant with Aaron. It's always gonna be a man on the throne out of Aaron. So the Israelites has been denigrated. They in Babylon for 70 years. Now the 70 years are up. So this angel gotta come and identify Zechariah. He gotta identify seed of David, and he gotta identify the seed of Aaron in order for them to go back. You gotta identify the high priest and the king. So let's look at that right quick. You're gonna go to Haggai. And then chapter 1. In the second year, chapter 1, verse 1. In the second year of Darius, the king, in the 6th month, in the first day of the month, came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet unto Zerubbabel, not JC, the son of Sethur, king of Judah. This governor is the same as king of Judah, and the Josiah. This is the seed of Joshua. This is the seed of Aaron, the high priest, son of Josiah, the high priest, saying, thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, this Michael, saying, this people say, the time has not come, the time that the Lord's house shall not be built. So we know it is the time. So he identified these two men right here. Okay. Then we're going to go on over. Once he identified them, okay, they've been in captivity for 70 years. So just like in okay, just like in yeah, so just like let me go to chapter 3. Okay. So you go to chapter 3, and it says, and he showed me Joshua. So Joshua is the high priest. Joshua, the high priest, standing before the Lord, standing before the angel. See that? Not Yahweh, not JC, standing before the angel. What angel? The angel in Exodus chapter 23 and 20 that we just read. So he's standing before the angel of the Lord. Same angel in Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. The Spirit of God moving on the waters. The angel of the Lord, and Satan standing at his right hand to resist him. And the Lord said unto Satan. So this angel said to Satan, the Lord rebuked thee, O Satan, even the Lord that have chosen Jerusalem. See that? Not Yahweh, not JC. This angel, the Lord of hosts, have chosen Jerusalem, rebuke thee. Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire? Now Joshua was clothed. That's why I got to hang up at Isaiah 52. What's getting ready to happen? We've been over here for almost 3,000 years, over 2,500 years. So when you understand who the priesthood is, we've been our garments and our roles been denigrated. But he told us in Isaiah 52, the suffering servant, we're gonna dress them back up. We're gonna put the garments back on them and dress them back up, And when the whole world see that, they're gonna be discombobulated because they ain't gonna believe the people that he's gonna dress up. So we see the same thing right here in verse 3. Now Joshua was clothed with a filthy garment, and he stood before the angel. See that? Joshua was clothed with a filthy garment, and he stood before the angel. I ain't write this. JC ain't no damn angel. Then 4. And he answered and spake unto those that angel, the angel. He answered and spake unto those that stood before him, saying, take away the filthy garment. Same as Isaiah 52 from him. And unto him he said, behold, this angel talking, behold, I have caused thine iniquity to pass from thee. Not JC, not Yahweh, not Yahweh. This angel just said, I've caused your iniquity, your sin. Right? Go to Isaiah, go to Exodus 23 and 20. I cause thine iniquity to pass from thee, and I will clothe thee with a change of garment. And I said, let them set a fair mitre upon his head. So they set a fair mitre upon his head and clothe him with garments. What garments? The garments of the priesthood in Leviticus. And the angel of the Lord stood by, and the angel of the Lord protested unto Joshua, saying, check it out. Thus saith the Lord of hosts. This is the Lord of hosts, this angel. If thou wilt walk in my ways, and if thou wilt keep my charge, then thou shalt also judge my house, and shall also keep my court, and I will give thee places to walk among these that stand by. Who are these that stand by? The other 6. Like I said, the Elohim. Elohim is plural. It's these 7 angels. So you say, what 7 angels? Let's go back to Genesis, chapter 1. Chapter 1, verse 26. Okay. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over. So who is the us? These 7 angels. Elohim. Y'all, we can't call it Yahweh Elohim. Elohim is plural. These 7 angels. In the very beginning, in the book of Enoch, like I've been saying, they told you don't read it. And so you listen to the enemy and you don't read it. But Enoch is telling you that the Most High created these 7 angels in the beginning from himself. Yahweh is a consuming fire. And he created these 7 angels from himself. The very first one he created, it was Michael. That's who's in Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. That's who he's talking to during the creation story. Telling them to do this and do that. He the creating spirit. And so, like I said before, you can deal with that or you don't have to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? But that's the story. And if you want to understand this book, you got to understand what happened, what was brought about, and what was brought forth in the beginning. What no JC there, no son, no, none of that. Well, they ain't got nothing to do with it. Okay? Does that make any sense?
Right, yes, sir.
Okay. You got anything before we close out?
Just Michael is the Lord of hosts.
Exactly. Right. And you know it may go against your understanding. It don't fit in your understanding or whatever. But if you go back and deal with the scriptures the way you're supposed to deal with them, pray about it, then it's gonna come to you. But when you just flat out refute it based off what these wicked ass people are telling you, you in trouble. That's all I can say.
Right.
So with that being said, I want to say shalom, and another shalom. We got our Sabbath class tomorrow. We got 2 Shabbat classes for those people that been hanging around and should know that. We got 2 Shabbat classes, one in the morning. It's from 10 to 12 p.m. Central Time. Then we close the Shabbat out in the evening at 6, and normally lasts about an hour when we close the Shabbat out. But if you get hot, it might go a little longer. And so what I'm doing now is I'm having a Q&A at the end of that class. I'll send the link out. That way, if you got any questions from any other class, anything you came across, you can ask it then, and then we'll deal with it. And the same on Sundays for the Sunday Advanced Bible class. At the end of those classes, those 3 classes, the one on Saturday morning, Saturday evening, and then the Sunday Shabbat class, or Sunday Advanced Bible study, we're going to do a Q&A at the end. So get your questions together in the process while you, or whatever you're doing during the week, or when you come across something you don't rightly or directly understand, you can ask that question. That way we can get clarified. And then not only will it help you, but it'll help somebody else that's listening. That's how it works. And so, and like I said before, you've been hanging around here, you know I don't have nothing but time. I don't have no problem with breaking it down. Okay? So with that being said, I want to say shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it, because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up, and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is, and the Godhead.